Kevin Costner. Thank you so much for being with us on your show. First question comes from Barbara in Northhorn. She wants to know, how do you feel when pundits and commentators speak poorly of celebrities that make their politics known to the public?
Well, nobody wants to be made fun of. Nobody really wants to ever be marginalized, and the idea that celebrities aren't citizens, don't contribute in the same way to the fabric of America is silly. I think maybe people can see when someone's grandstanding, and that never seems kind of that flattering to watch. But actors have traveled the world. They get to see a lot, so they see things. They have opinions. And I think it's fair that they speak, and I think that the person who asked this question, it's fair enough, but they should understand that it's the media that sticks the microphone in the face of the celebrity. If there's a march of 5,000 and 2 or 3 celebrities happen to go there, the media just goes to them like a magnet. I've gone out to talk to the campuses today, and it wouldn't have bothered me at all if we weren't doing this interview. Being with the guys, with the kids going to college, I really enjoyed that, and that's who I came to talk to. So I understand the question, and I think she would understand. No one likes to be marginalized, and no one wants a general kind of a view of them as being like, well, what do they know? Well, for myself, I have a small business. I certainly didn't grow up on the big screen. I worked for minimum wage at 16 years old, and I've worked all my life since then, and there was no guarantee I was ever going to make it. The fact that people are willing to put a microphone in my face, I try to be careful about where that happens.
Bryce Hubble wants to know, what reasons are you supporting Barack Obama? Why are you supporting him?
Well, I like everybody, have watched what's the process. It's been about 2 years running now, and waiting through the primaries and everything else. I'm an independent, and so what's happened? What we've done, we've gotten down to the final strokes here. We've got 2 candidates, and by definition, we have to choose. And in choosing, I've watched the debates, I've watched everything, and what I see is, I see Barack Obama and I see Joe Biden as being having the intellectual energy to face crisis that comes across every day at the White House, and also at the same time keep the business of the people going. I think Barack has a big view of what's going on, what has to happen. I think he has a lot of empathy as a person. I think he has a good partner, not only in his running mate Joe Biden, but I think he has a good partner in his wife. And I think he's a grounded guy. This is not a young man. This is a mature man who's gone to school, hit the streets when he could have hit Wall Street, and found a wife, raised 2 children, has gone into public service, went to the Senate, and probably saw that the good old boys club was going to be too hard to break, and said, I want to get in front of this parade. I think he has the DNA to be the president. So when I'm forced to choose, and choosing someone is not being against someone, I choose Barack Obama. And I feel really certain and comfortable with that decision.
When you say it's not about being against someone, I heard you talk about that on the radio this morning. If you can kind of expand on that.
Oh, listen, it's just human nature. Why? And this, I am sick of red and blue states. I'm sick of if you exist in Colorado, what color is Colorado? Well, no, what color is it, politically speaking?
It's kind of been both.
All right. Well, you're dodging the question. Good thing the camera's not on you. But you know what I'm saying. If you exist in a state where that's not your color, where do you fit? We subtly divide people, and in the instance of in the political process, the system is such that we're supposed to choose, and so you choose. And a long time ago, people created booths with those curtains because they understood how hot-blooded people could be about someone else's choice. I don't have to be against John McCain or Sarah Palin to be for Barack or Joe. The system is set up that we're supposed to listen to them, to hear what they have to say. And in hearing them, I have a great deal of certainty about, I feel that this is the right choice for me and for the country. But I'm one vote. so I'm just going to show up. And when I have gone around this, talking to the students, I haven't told them how to vote. I just told them who I was voting for at the very end.
You have heard the stereotypes of the place where you work, Hollywood, being a liberal, full of generally Democrats. Karen Pitzer wants to know, are there a significant number of Republicans there?
I would guess there are. If you're talking about there's people in Hollywood, there's people that are in front of the camera and behind. And I would suggest there's probably a lot of Republicans that are behind the camera that are working all the other jobs. I think on a general level, it seems as there's more Democrats. But there's maybe more Republicans in NASCAR. You know what I mean? You can isolate groups and do that same thing all the way down the line. But when you do that, I don't have a problem with anybody that's Republican. Kelsey Grammer played the president for me in swing vote, and he's a very staunch Republican. Us voting is our privilege and it's our duty, and so I don't take it. I don't take it so personally.
You brought up swing vote, and there was a question that Debbie Rankin wrote in saying, "How do you decide what's the influence that decides for you what movies you're going to make?"
Something that I think, look, it has to have what I call entertainment value before I ever choose to make it. I mean, I've made movies, that really are in all genres. I haven't made a career of doing a lot of sequels. Once I find something that works, man, I just keep banging it to death, and you end up seeing a third and fourth one. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just I haven't done it that way. So I've enjoyed making the 13 Days and JFKs just as much as I'm playing a drunken swing voter tin cup. I love making cowboy movies, and I love making sports movies. And the truth is, I love to entertain. I see myself as a storyteller. I always have, and so I think when I read a script, I think about the audience who's going to have to watch that in the dark. But the first time I read the script, I read it for myself because I won't ever have that. I'll never have that experience of in the dark seeing what you guys are going to see.
Kim Sonderby wrote in saying when you starred in Silverado, her favorite movie, the end when you wrote off, you said we'll be back, and she wants to know why you haven't come back for another movie. She loves it.
I know. I think a lot of times a sequel is determined based on the amount of money that a movie makes its first time out, and that movie was a very, very well-received movie. The public really, really liked it. In fact, the studios sensed that the public liked it so much, they moved up its release date by 2 or 3 weeks because they had so much confidence in it. And it was just a new movie. And they put it out against 2 sequels. They put it out against Thunderdome and Back to the Future. And, of course, it came in 3rd place. And we live sometimes in an empirical world, which is, and we always thought that was a gigantic mistake for that movie because the public has liked it so much.
You talked about one of your other loves being baseball. John Jordan wrote in. He's another alum of CSU Fullerton. He says, knowing you played baseball there and your love of the game, who's your pick to win the World Series?
I've been rooting for the Rays.
Why is that?
Well, I just, interestingly enough, they asked me to come down this year. They had a name change. I went from the Devil Rays to the Rays, and I got a call from them and said, would you come down and put on a musical concert? We want to change our name. We want to change our uniform. We want to change the culture of being a team that's in last place. And so I said that I would. And interestingly enough, they just have had such a great season, so they think of us as my band as kind of their good luck charm. And so I have watched them all year long, and they found themselves in the World Series. Now they're behind, and they have to really pull it out. They're in a hole. So it makes for great sports drama, but I'm pulling for the Rays.
If you had a script in front of you or you were seeing if the lights were down, is this a great story? Tampa Bay Rays?
The Rays, is it a great story? Well, I think any time you travel a long distance, a journey is always interesting. I mean, you probably had your own journey professionally, and how you end up where you end up. When you're, journeys are interesting. And I think clearly it's interesting enough to be a story. Not one I'd make, but.
Kevin Costner, thank you so much.
You're welcome.